You wake up at 5 a.m., cold shower, meditation, gym, green smoothie, perfect routine. You're crushing every goal. Your productivity guru would be proud. So why do you feel like you're dying inside? A friend told me last week, I used to think discipline would set me free. Instead, I feel like I'm in prison and I'm both the guard and the prisoner. She's not alone. Millions discover that their perfect self-discipline routines are slowly draining the life out of them. Not because discipline is bad, but because we've been doing it completely wrong. Carl Jung saw this coming a century ago. When you push too hard in one direction, your psyche pushes back twice as hard in the opposite direction. That exhaustion you feel? It's your unconscious mind staging a rebellion against a life that looks perfect but feels empty. What if everything you've been taught about self-discipline is backwards? Here's what nobody tells you about self-discipline. Most of what we call discipline isn't actually discipline at all. It's performance. Carl Jung had a term for this: the persona. The mask we wear to look good to others and ourselves. And modern self-discipline culture? It's basically persona worship. Think about it. When you post your 5 a.m. workout, track your water intake, or share your productivity hacks, who are you really doing it for? The real you or the you that wants to be seen as having it all together? Jung understood something crucial. The more energy you put into maintaining a perfect image, the more your authentic self gets pushed into the shadows. And that authentic self? It includes your need for rest, for spontaneity, for imperfection. But here's where it gets interesting. Your psyche doesn't just quietly accept this arrangement. It fights back. You know that voice that whispers, "Skip the gym today," or "Just order takeout." That's not weakness talking. That's your unconscious mind trying to restore balance. Jung called this the shadow, and it contains everything your disciplined persona has rejected, feared. The problem is, we've been taught to see the shadow as the enemy. So we discipline harder. We build more systems. We shame ourselves for wanting what we want. And that's exactly when the exhaustion sets in. Because you're not just maintaining discipline anymore, you're maintaining a war against half of yourself. Jung warned that this kind of one-sided development always leads to what he called enantiodromia, where things flip into their opposite. The most disciplined people becoming the most chaotic, the most controlled people losing all control. Your exhaustion isn't a sign that you need more discipline. It's a sign that your psyche is desperately trying to integrate what you've been rejecting. Here's the truth about why you're so tired. You're not just living your life. You're fighting a constant internal war. Every time you force yourself out of bed when your body wants rest. Every time you choose the salad when you're craving comfort food. Every time you meditate when you'd rather scroll your phone. You're using what Jung called psychic energy to override your natural impulses. And that energy, it's finite. Jung understood that the human psyche operates on a principle of energy conservation. When you spend massive amounts of energy suppressing one part of yourself, that energy has to come from somewhere. Usually it comes from your vitality, your creativity, your joy. Think about it like this. Imagine your psyche as a house with 2 rooms. In one room, you keep all the good stuff: discipline, productivity, control. In the other room, you've locked away everything bad: laziness, indulgence, spontaneity. But here's what Jung discovered. The locked room doesn't stay quiet. It pounds on the walls. It demands attention. And the more energy you spend keeping that door locked, the less energy you have for actually living. This is why the most disciplined people often report feeling like they're running on empty. They're not just maintaining their routines. They're maintaining a psychological prison system where they're simultaneously the warden and the prisoner. Your body knows this. Your unconscious knows this. That's why you feel exhausted even when you're succeeding at discipline. Jung called this the law of compensation. The psyche always seeks balance. Push too hard in one direction, and it will push back just as hard in the opposite direction. Not to punish you, but to save you from becoming a fragment of a person. The exhaustion you feel isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's your psyche's way of saying, stop fighting yourself. There's a better way. So what does that better way look like? Jung called it individuation. Not following external rules, but developing your own inner compass. Not discipline imposed from outside, but rhythm that emerges from within. Here's what I mean. When you're truly aligned with yourself, discipline doesn't feel like discipline. It feels like flow. You wake up early not because you should, but because your body naturally wants to. You eat well not because it's on your list, but because you genuinely crave what nourishes you. This isn't about giving up structure. It's about finding structure that serves your whole self, not just your ego's image of perfection. Jung believed that true maturity comes when you stop trying to be what you think you should be and start becoming who you actually are. That includes your shadow, your contradictions, your human messiness. What would happen if you stopped forcing yourself to be disciplined and started listening to what your body and soul actually need? What if you trusted your natural rhythms instead of fighting them? This doesn't mean chaos. It means integration. It means honoring both your need for structure and your need for spontaneity, both your desire for growth and your need for rest. When you stop spending energy on internal warfare, something beautiful happens. You have energy for what actually matters, for creation instead of control, for presence instead of performance. The discipline that emerges from this place isn't fragile. It doesn't require constant willpower. It's sustainable because it's authentic. Jung understood that the goal isn't to overcome your humanity. It's to embrace it so fully that living well becomes natural. That's when discipline transforms from something you do to something you are. But how do you actually make this shift? Start with this simple question. What does my body actually need right now? Not what your schedule says. Not what your productivity app demands. What does your actual human body need in this moment? Jung believed that our bodies hold incredible wisdom, but we've been trained to override it with our minds. True discipline means learning to listen again. Instead of rigid morning routines, try rhythmic living. Notice when you naturally feel energized, when you naturally need to slow down, when you're genuinely hungry versus eating from habit. When you feel the urge to skip your workout, pause. Ask, is this my shadow trying to restore balance, or am I genuinely tired? When you crave junk food, investigate. Am I actually hungry for comfort, connection, or joy? The goal isn't to always say yes to these impulses. It's to understand them, to integrate them. Sometimes the most disciplined thing you can do is rest. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is push yourself gently forward. The difference? You're no longer following external rules. You're following your own deep intelligence. Start small. Notice one thing your body is asking for today. Honor it. See what happens.